back in your life, like the person running the show, not knowing how to operate, how everything works. This is the Educated Ignorance Podcast on the For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network. Here, we're back. 2 nights in a row, somebody called the cops. I am Joe Winkle, joining as always by my good friend, Mr. Daniel Hancock from Gotham Gambling, Golden Ticket Show. Uh, we are here. It is kind of a NBA draft special, NBA wrap up. Uh, we are here. We're still sad. We're just trucking through the day. Daniel, how are you doing today, my friend?
We're at the opposite end of that spectrum. We're happy. We're still getting through the day, but we're vibing. Our team is champions.
That they are.
Yeah, and we got a good draft pick this year, so I'm excited to see how everything will look going into Wednesday.
It's always a weird love-hate relationship with how quickly the NBA season ends to how quickly the draft turnaround is. You get to a game 7, and then all of a sudden you have, you don't really have much time to reflect on the fact that a championship was decided last night, and now we have to start talking about something else. So I don't really know if I really like that or not. But obviously you have to kind of move things along. Maybe if they would shorten the fucking schedule. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Maybe then they wouldn't have to cram it so much into the summer, or just extend stuff into the summer. Well, what do I know? I'm just a dumb media person. How excited are you for this NBA draft? I know we have some pretty high level prospects going in the top part of this draft lottery. What are your early? I guess I wouldn't say early, but where are you at right now in the draft process?
I'm excited. I think just because of how deep this draft is, this is the first time in a couple years that we've seen a lot of different teams say, they're willing to be as aggressive as it takes to get one of these top 5 guys. There was a report that the Pelicans were even saying like we're gonna try to move up to 2 as best we can. We're gonna try to move to 3 as best we can. So it should be fun. I think I've joked with you before that they rigged this draft lottery because the 3 teams that seemingly didn't need play a top 3 player all seem to all get the top 3 draft picks this year. But this should be an interesting draft. I think this is going to be like what we saw a couple years ago. We're going to see a lot of picks get moved around.
The worst part is more about the fact that the worst part is that the 2 of the 3 teams that have the top 3 picks don't deserve them. Dallas and Philadelphia. Like, they don't deserve to have top 3 picks. So I don't like that they do have them.
I still remember when Charlotte got the 4th pick, they didn't even post it on Twitter. They just posted a photo of their mascot looking sad, like looking defeated laying down next to the wall. And all you saw in the comments was, "Dear God, we didn't get a top 3, did we?"
Well, that they did. What are you looking forward to? What's the biggest storyline going into Wednesday night?
Well, I guess it's what Philly will do with this pick. For me right now, just because we've heard rumors of Utah, I've rumors of the Pelicans. I think there's a possibility. They could try to retool and get rid of Paul George here, and just say, "Hey, if you'll take on Paul George's contract, we'll give you the 3rd pick." And get something out of it, or at the very least get $40 million off the books to go into free agency and make your roster deeper.
They definitely have the roster are very interesting, mainly because the draft kind of starts there also, because we all know Flagg's going to go number 1, we all know Harper's going to go number 2. So now it just becomes
yeah, and then you just extended Quentin Grimes. So now 3 of if you don't put in Paul George in this factor because of the possibility he might get moved, 3 of your top 4 players are all point guard, shoot guard combos. And after the first 2 picks, the next 3 guys are shooting guards and shooting guard combos. Actually, the next 5, all the way down to probably Malawak. Fears, Johnson, Bailey, Knipple, and Edgecombe. All are 2, like maybe could play the 3 or maybe be like a 2-1 hybrid, but it's always that situation of like you need to draft for what you need to win, but if you have a top 5 pick, you need to draft best available.
Do you expect? So I think it's pretty safe to say the draft, as we stated, starts at 3. How would you be attacking tomorrow? How would you be attacking the next few weeks if you're Daryl Morey and the 76ers, knowing that, 2 teams that I'm going to be competing for playoff spots with? Because you have to think their hope is, obviously, we get healthy, we get Embiid back, he plays more than 40 games, which who knows if that's going to happen ever again. I don't know, really. Maxey McCain, the 3rd pick, Embiid, that's a nice nucleus to have. Paul George, whatever you get out of him. But now 2 of the teams that they would have been competing for playoff spots with have their best players both out for the year next year. The Bucks are obviously hampered, so the window isn't necessarily open for Philadelphia, but it's cracked a little bit. How do you expect the Sixers to handle the next few weeks?
I saw one thing today, and it was sort of like it had me. You remember when Brian Windhorst, when the Gobert trade, sat there like this for 15 minutes? Like,
yeah, it had me. Why is that?
Yeah, it had me thinking of this, and not in the terms of like why did you do this kind of thing, but Chris Middleton picked up his player option. Like a lot of people were expecting it because it was $33 million, but at the same time, if you're Middleton, why not risk free agency to go play for a championship, right? Because you're going to get the money.
No, he's not going to get $33 million. If you think he's going to get $33 million, you're insane.
That's
who's going to pay him?
No, but what I'm saying is if you're like someone mentioned the possibility of if you're Philly, you could, Middleton, Rashawn Holmes gives you a defensive-minded 3 and a backup center, and you only have him for 1 year, so then it gets it off your books next year for Paul George and the 3 pick, and it gives the Wizards, and you could swap picks with the Wizards, drop down to 6, where you could kind of see where Charlotte and Utah are headed, so you know where you could go from there. If you're in the spot of like you don't know what the move is actually going to be.
Yeah, you'd have to be guaranteed that you're flipping picks. I just don't know. I mean, Middleton would be nice on a lot of these teams. Maybe. That's the thing too. He hasn't really been an asset for a team that is for a team that can win for how many years now? So,
well, I think if they keep the pick, they got to go Edgecombe. But the problem with that is Embiid has shown he doesn't play well with players that crash to the glass. Okay. And VJ Edgecombe, being as athletic as he is going into the NBA, you're going to want him going to the rim. And I feel like you're also putting him in a backcourt of Quentin Grimes, Jared McCain, and Maxey. And then he's going to be fighting for minutes against Oubre and a couple of these other guys. Like if you try to play him as an undersized 3, I worry it's going to be one of those. He's the best prospect available, so we had to take him, but it doesn't fit what we need, and it's just going to be like a waste. And then we're going to be talking about, oh, they wasted the pick on this.
So you think that they should move out because you don't think Edgecombe fits them? Who do you think does fit them?
Knipple, maybe someone who could just live on the 3-point line.
I think he fits every team. He fits like a glove.
Like I said, I would. If I'm Philly, but I think you have to go Edgecombe, but I feel like you also have to, like, right before you put the pick in, you need to call up every team that might really need that third pick to help their rebuild and say, what will you give me?
So that's the thing. Like, you can try to attack. I'm at the point now where I just don't know if they're actually going to move it back, and I think Daryl Morey is probably going to take. I think he's going to take Edgecombe. I just feel like we're kind of landing there. Moving on to so I want to ask you something real quick about the Spurs. What's their timeline for the next 300 to 600 days? Like, does De'Aaron Fox get traded? Does Harper and Fox work together? How good do we actually think Dylan Harper will translate to the league? I'm very curious on all those thoughts.
I mean, I think it's a good. I'm trying to think the right way to say it. I think it's a good fit, knowing knowing he probably will come off the bench to start the year. Mainly because you have 2 years left of De'Aaron Fox's contract, right? So that gives you a 2-year window of Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, one of the fastest player in the league and the tallest player in the league. That gives you
right. And I like Fox. I don't think they should move him.
I'm not saying they move him, but I'm saying it gives them a 2-year window of saying, okay, let's see how far we can get. And if we feel like, hey, we can't go farther unless we re-sign De'Aaron Fox, then we go from there. But if not, De'Aaron Fox is going to want $50 million. But we're going to have Steven Castle and Dylan Harper both on rookie contracts. Because in reality, all their money in the next 3 years is going to be going to make sure Wemby is the most paid player and never leaves San Antonio for the rest of his life. And then they're just going to, they're going to team option these guys until they can't anymore. I think your only other option is if you say we need to win now, is you go find a way to trade this pick and get a big name, like an MVP caliber player.
Problem is like what picks, who's available for the second pick.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's really it.
I was trying to think last night who the next, like middle tier, if we're like, I don't know what we would call Desmond Bane or Mikal Bridges, right? Those are the guys that, I wouldn't call them middle tiered players, but in the top 100, they're middle tiered. And I think I think the guy that I just spilled the beans, but there's a guy that I'm thinking of that could be on the move. That could be the next one of those guys that someone could be like, oh, let's go get this guy because him as our third guy would be incredibly awesome.
Go ahead.
The guy that keeps screaming to me is Trey Murphy.
I also think but
you don't trade pick 2
if you're Philly and you say Paul George 3 pick, give us the 8th and a future first rounder and Trey Murphy, or even just Trey Murphy and their 8th pick.
Shit, I'd do pick 3 and Paul George for Trey Murphy probably.
No, that's what I'm saying, because then you have a better contract. It's still a long-term contract. You still get a top 10 pick, so you can go down and you can see what's available. Awesome. I always put players in. It's superstar, all NBA, all-star, high level, rotation, possible starter, and then bench warmer or G League development player.
That's fair.
I think if you're willing to give up the 2, you have to get at least an all NBA level player or an all-star level player, and you got to get like 2 picks back for it. So which brings me to this point. If you're Utah and San Antonio says, we'll give you the 2 for Markkanen and like a future first and a future second, are you saying yes? Knowing how Danny Ainge just loves to stockpile these picks and his extreme withholding of trying to get rid of like trying to trade Markkanen, because everyone's been asking about him and he's refused everything.
I just don't think the Spurs are going to move to it the end of the day. That's the one that I am expecting them to not move. I am very intrigued to see what they look like next year, and I think they'll be good. When you're looking at like what's next here in the draft, what are we at pick 4? If I'm Charlotte, I'm taking Conconnepple. I just think that he would be the perfect fit for them. I don't think you can afford to take a guy like Ace Bailey, who's a bit more of a project. I also just don't like Ace Bailey. You don't really need a center. You don't need a guy like Trey Johnson, who all he does is command the ball and shoot. I think Conconnepple is a perfect fit for Charlotte.
So the problem with this draft is like 10 of the top 15 players available are point guards or like combo guards, and none of the teams in the top 10 need point guards or combo guards.
Suns do.
Outside of the Suns. But let's be real. They just traded for
the
2
Raptors
more shooting
do.
guards. But you get my point. Like,
yeah, but they don't
like
have
the top 5 picks are outside of Cooper Flag are all shooting guards or point guards. Every one of those teams in the top 5 is loaded with shooting guards and point guards. I think Knipple fits. I also think, I saw a rumor about their desire to possibly move Mark Williams again to see if any team is willing to move him. And if that's the case, then, you look at one of these teams that might need a dominant rebounding big, New Orleans, possibly. Maybe a pick swap of Mark Williams, and then you go after Malawak. And at least it may give you the same kind of production, but at least it's less money on your books because it's a lower pick.
That seems redundant, though. I don't know why you would trade. It's like when the Bears, or not the Bears, like when the Packers traded Devontae Adams, and then everyone said they should draft a receiver with the pick they got for him. I just don't know. I just think Kneppel's going to be the guy that goes there. I also think Williams probably stays now.
I think Trey Johnson has a chance at going 4. Just the kind of
God, that would be toxic.
Because that's the most Hornets thing to do. I mean, let's be realistic. The Hornets like running nothing but point guards. Not to mention the fact that Trey Mann, their best 6-man, their 6-man from last year, is coming back from injury.
Bro, that'd be 3 guys that you would be possibly starting. It's like all of these guys, what are they good at? Having the ball and shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Do they do a lot of other things? Well, probably not.
Well,
I would like Trey Johnson on the Sixers as like a microwave guy.
Yeah, I think
because he would know. The problem with Trey Johnson is he's going to go to one of these teams. And listen, I like Trey Johnson. I like him more than Ace Bailey. He's going to go to a team like the Jazz or the Six or the Wizards, and he's going to be like, "Hey guys, this is my team. Get out of my way. Like I got this." And just don't know if that's feasibly possible. I just don't think he's that guy. He fills it up. He can fill it up. Although I would want to see him probably in Washington. That would probably be the spot that I would want him to land the most. I know him in Poole could be kind of toxic as well, but him in Charlotte would be very toxic.
Well,
or Ace Bailey in Charlotte, honestly. Ace Bailey in Charlotte would be hilarious.
I think Ace drops to
by
8
all means.
At the very least. I think they've handled this so poorly that there's not a single team that's in the top 7 that's going to say, okay, we're going to take you and make you realize what the real world of the NBA is. I don't think any teams, you go from a potential number 1 prospect this year to teams. You're sitting here 2 days before the draft and teams are saying, oh, you've handled this more poorly than any player who's ever come through the draft.
The only team that I can see in the top 7 before Brooklyn, because apparently that's where he wants to go. The only team that I can see out of that group taking him is Utah, because Danny Ainge loves pedigree, and Ace Bailey kind of fits that player the player style, player mold that he would like to draft. So
yeah,
we'll see.
He seems to like two things, and it's either point guards that can play the 3 in a pinch, and tall players that can play 2 through 4.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Malawach, and I'm all in on him. You could tell me that he's the 3rd best player in this draft, and I would agree with you probably. Like, I would believe it. Though I'm starting to like Knipple a bit more than him. He's really good. Now, you just have to hope that he doesn't have to play the Houston Cougars in the NBA.
You're just following the propaganda of Duke white boys. Any white boy that goes to Duke always gets like an extra +2 in his aura and his draft stock.
Kneppel's
I'm not saying he's not. I just had to make.
And
I'm
not just saying that because I watched him. I'm not just saying that because I called the game of his life. But his junior year.
So where are we at? 5 Utah.
I'm kind of bouncing around to players right now because I was mentioning Malawach, and like I could see him going anywhere from 4 to wherever. Because like I think he's worth it. I think he's a guy that you look at him and you're just like, yep, that works in the NBA. You know, I think he's. Really
I have him going either 6 or 7. I think he fits better with the Pelicans because I think Misi is still a bit off in the development. You know, everyone came in like Misi was the, you know, everyone talked about Yves Misi like how they wanted him to be what Kyle Ware is right now. You know what I mean? Like someone who plays his role and has done well in the role he was expected to do. I still think he might be a year off. I don't know what it is, but like maybe it's having Zion in the paint with him constantly, or Valanciunas was in the paint with him so much. But I think if you're going to have this many 3-point shooters on your perimeter around Zion and DeJounte, then I think you need someone who's just going to go in there and snatch every single board possible. And I think Malawach goes there. But also, I'm really curious because I think it would be – I don't think they're going to do it because Washington's at this point where – you know how every team seems to get to the point where it's like we're just going to constantly draft guys who could play 2 through 4? Like who could be like a big lineup 2 or a small lineup 4, and then we figure out who fits. I think if Washington plays Sarr at the 4 and gets and goes out and gets Malawach, I think that would be a great fit. Because when they got what's his name from Sacramento, Rashawn Holmes, and they were playing him a lot at the 5 after the Valanciunas trade. They played a lot of Sarr at the 4, and when he was at the 4, he felt better about stretching the floor. He felt better getting to the paint, you know, because he's not getting guarded by a 7-footer that's more physical than him. He had the ability to be more skilled, and then that sets your lineup at Bub Carrington, Jordan Poole, Coulibaly, Sarr, and Malawach. And then you could rotate that however you want because you have the guys off the bench to rotate in and out with Kispert, Bay, Champagny. Like I told you last night, and even Middleton. Like I'm kind of big on the Wizards. I think they're gonna go through in the 6th, and I think they have the 18th right now from Memphis, which I think is also why Memphis was like wanting that first pick from Orlando this year. But I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams like Minnesota or maybe not Boston, like Minnesota or the Clippers or someone just gives up a late round first or a second rounder for Marcus Smart.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, right? You brought
Yeah.
Smart up. Man, maybe. I just don't know if he's worth a. I just don't know if he's worth a. I mean, we'll see. He could be. There's some championship team maybe out there thinking that he's worth something.
I think some young team that made a big playoff run, like some team that maybe needs just like the James Johnson, if you will, like someone who needs that is probably would be willing to take a late round first pick on him, or a
So
second
someone who's willing to go out there and get ejected immediately.
Essentially, yeah, someone who, if your defense is struggling, is going to go in there and just over the top physical to show them that what needs to be done. And I'm sure like you probably have to get a pick back in return, but like I said, I think this is the window the Wizards need to move out of we're fighting for 15th to like, hey, we have a shot at the play-in. Like I think that's the next step for them, and I think this is the draft they need to do it in.
I'm at a spot. I want to talk here about my Illinois boy, and then the guy who was supposed to go to Illinois but reclassified because of the Illinois boy, and that's Jeremiah Fears and Kasparis Yakuchonis. They're both very different players. Fears is more of a scorer, can't really shoot it. Yakuchonis can score, but he's also got some electrifying playmaking ability. I would love for Yakuchonis to go to Phoenix at 10. I would love for Yakuchonis, like, trying to think here. Like, where else could he land in this area? Like, maybe him on Toronto. I'm not sure how that would look.
If he drops to the Thunder, they love point guards. We talked about that yesterday.
I do not want that to happen because I do not want him to go get put in hell for the rest of his,
if they draft another guard, I'm going to be so pissed because Topic is coming in next year, and that means they're going to have 3 shoot point guards to start. I like him. I think it's a toss up between him and Fears at 8. I think he has a better game because they have a lot of catch and shoot guys. Also, the rumor that the Nets are willing to take on a big contract to move up if need be. So, you're looking at Sixers, Hornets maybe. But I think him and Claxton are going to do good together. I think him and Cam Johnson either of them and Cam Johnson are a good fit. It's just that weird middle ground for the Nets where they have like 7 or 8 guys who are like a year away from just being NBA bench players or G League players. Mm-hmm. And you have to just figure out what you're going to do with this entire team, because right now their offense is Cam Thomas gets the ball and shoots, and everyone else stands there and looks pretty.
It is a sight to
behold. ISO heavy.
You don't see any. You can't see any Yakuchonis to Zion lobs in your future.
No, I think you gave up that much for DeJounte Murray. You got to commit to it. Like I said, I think the Pelicans either move up or they draft a center. I think that's the only 2 things I see them doing.
So you think if Malawach falls to 7, they're going to take him?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the Nets, I don't think the Nets would draft Malawach because they just gave Nick Claxton $20 million. Why are you drafting another center? The Raptor, I could see him falling to the Raptors as like if something that we don't know about, because Pirtle's in the last year of his deal, and then you could just replace Pirtle with a more physical version of Pirtle and try to do a sign and trade and get something back for it.
Who? Go ahead.
The thing is this draft is so guard heavy, and in reality, there's only one center. In reality, that's a top 10 level player that could potentially move anywhere from 3 210, and that's Malawak. And you just got to look at which team says, okay, we need a big man. Like we can miss out on guards this year, but we need a big man.
All right. Want to play some rapid fire? I don't know how much I got left in me, but I got some stuff here that I'm ready to throw at you.
Okay.
So I want to play some rapid fire, all right? 60 seconds or less for each of these answers. First
All right.
off, favorite non-Flag or Harper player in the draft, unless you like someone more than Harper, obviously. But like favorite non-Flag or Harper player in the draft, like who like you're like the guy you're like this guy's gonna be legit, no bones about it. He's awesome.
And like who they're going to, or just who I like?
In general, just the player.
I'm gonna say Derek Queen because he's really been kind of interesting to me.
Wow. Okay, he was going to be the topic of my second, topic. But the guy I like the most outside of those two is Kneppel. It's a really close matchup between him and Malawach.
Yeah, I just wanted to give love to a player we didn't talk about yet.
Well, I will start this one then. Derek Queen is the answer to me for the category of my favorite player that I just have no idea if he will work or not, and that's Derek Queen. I love the player. His skill set's incredible. I just don't know if he actually will work in the NBA. And he might go top 10. So brace yourself. I really wish he would have stayed for another year in college. I think he would have been the best player in college basketball next year.
I think
can't have everything you want.
My ceiling for him is 9 to the Raptors. My floor is like 18 to the Wizards. But I think he's going to Atlanta. I think you remember I said I think they need that guy who could be Onyeka Okongwu but off the bench for a year or two. I think it's him.
He just isn't athletic enough, man. Like that's the thing that worries me. Like he could be like his game is like if it's like he is Zach Randolph coded. Could Zach Randolph, not that he couldn't play in today's NBA, but like can that type of player work though in 2026? You know what I mean?
I think you're right, but I just like I'm looking at this and I don't think he goes. We could see a surprise and he goes at 8, but I'm looking at. I think the top 7 is kind of a general consensus of who's going where. Every team left in the next in the lottery that could use a bigger person all plays fast, and that's why I said he could potentially drop really low because of that fact. Because you got to look at, okay, this guy's lacking athleticism. Well, we're Chicago. We play full court sprint for 48 minutes. We're Atlanta. We play full court sprint. We're the Spurs. We play full court sprint. I just think I just think he needs to go to a team that does not care about defense, and that is the Atlanta Hawks. Because why care about defense when you have Dyson Daniels and Onyeka Okongwu? Right. That's why I think he fits in. I think they'll find a way to use him in like pick and pop or pick and roll with Trey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like it. 60 seconds or less then to the question that I just had. Player you like the most, but you just can't find a way that he actually works.
Carter Bryant.
Okay.
Undersized power forward. Again, he's now that the Rockets have moved that pick, I think it's a similar thing. His range is kind of 8 through 15, and none of these teams. I think he could be a good fit for the Hawks, but none of these teams truly need, or maybe the Bulls, but none of these teams truly need a power forward, especially an undersized power forward.
Mm-hmm. I am with you on him, but in a different aspect, which is the next question. Player you just can't see it with, which is basically player that people are high on that you're not high on at all, and it's Carter Bryant for me. I don't really get it with him. People like Carter Bryant. He's a slow riser in this draft. Not for me. Just going to be 100% honest. I don't like. He's undersized. He can't really dribble. He's not really good at making decisions. You know, I just don't get it. I guess you could also, in that case, for me, put Ace Bailey. A lot of casuals like Ace Bailey. They love Ace Bailey, but to me, he has no traits. He's just like, what's the difference between Ace Bailey and like, oh God, what's the difference between like, trying to think, what's the difference between like, who's a better player in 3 years, Ben Shepherd or Ace Bailey?
Oh, Ace Bailey.
Are we sure? Like, what's
Ben
Ace Bailey
Shepherd's
do?
stuck behind all those players on the Pacers. No,
Yeah,
I
that's
just
the thing
think
I'm saying. Like, what does Ace
I just
Bailey
think
do?
his athleticism enough. I think they're gonna find a place for him.
I'm willing to be wrong on him, but yeah. Who's the guy that you like? Or so who's your Carter Bryant for me? Who's
Danny
the guy
Wolf.
that you just don't see it with? Danny Wolf. Okay.
I think because again, it's a similar situation where you have a 5-year senior. His draft comparison at the draft combine was Frank Kaminsky if he was spicy.
Huh.
I think seeing how Frank Kaminsky kind of played out, if you're a team in the first round, I don't think you're wasting a pick on Daniel. I think someone's going to, because of, you know how they always say the legend, you get drafted based on how you play in March, not the rest of the season. You know, them going on that run in the conference tournament, I think probably moved him up a bunch, because I remember back in December, he was not a top 30 draft pick, and now he's a top 20. I don't see a team that the teams that he's kind of projected to go to don't really need him. And it's one of those, like, it's almost like when they bring in someone at your job, it's like, oh shit, I gotta work to make sure I don't get fired. Like, it's that.
That's fair. I don't disagree with you. He's weird to me. There's like 2 teams I would probably want to see him on. One of them is, oddly enough, Denver. Like, Gobi Jokic as backup center. That would work.
I think with his passing set, yeah, he would be good in Denver. But it's, why waste a first-round draft pick on a Jokic backup when your main need when Jokic is not on the floor is boards?
They don't have a pick, but him in on a team like Golden State would be fun.
You know what's funny? The pick he was projected to go to is the one that the Warriors gave to Miami. That's where he's projected to go, and that's why I think you think Eric Spoelstra is going to deal with a center who's kind of a little bit above average and everything and is turnover prone? No.
All right, next one. Player that your guilty pleasure for this draft. I have 2 of them. Who are yours? Who's yours?
I think I can guess one of yours.
Who?
Will Riley.
No. I guess I have 3, but
I kind of have 3.
All right, you name your first one.
Ace. I love hyperactive, physical, will dive on every ball kind of players. What's your first one?
Colin Murray Boyles. The only thing for me is, like, he's a little undersized, but he's long and he's insanely athletic and he's very good defensively. But he can't really shoot. I'm worried, like, he's this is gonna sound really dumb. He's like Ace Bailey, but, like, to me, I see in him what people see in Ace Bailey, just not as good of a shooter. Like, people see Ace Bailey and, like, athletic freak and can score and blah blah. I'm like, I look at Ace Bailey and he's a ball, like, he just absolutely stops possessions, and all he can do is like his only trait is, well, he scores, but, like, it's not even like at an efficient rate or anything. Colin Murray, like, Boyles is an insane athlete, defends, he has he rebounds at an incredibly high rate, can shoot well around the rim. Very long, so those traits go, but, like, a little undersized height-wise and can't really shoot, so that's what worries me. So, but he's a guilty pleasure of mine. Like if he could, like, put him on the Hawks, just another one of those, like, 6'8" guys who can guard and are long and are just assholes. It's like, oh, we have another guy to add to Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. Like, here's this unpleasant lineup to play against, So that would be fun.
God, sorry.
My next one.
I'm looking through some of these mock drafts, and I swear, if this goes how they're expecting, I'm gonna actually kill Sam Presti. They're projected to draft 4 point guards.
Hell yeah, that's what you need, bro. Trade Shea.
Yeah, Tyrese Proctor, Walter Clayton Jr., and Nolan Traore.
I guess I'll get that off my chest. And my biggest guilty pleasure is Walter Clayton Jr. Like, you just can't convince me that guy's not. It's, you know what it is. I don't know. On Tankathon, he's projected to go to the Magic. I would cry. I would shed tears. If that happens, he's going to go late in the first round, and then he is going to be in a playoff series in 2 years. And he's going to have like an 8-minute stretch like McConnell had in the finals, but instead of like 8-foot jumpers, he's just bombing 30-footers. And we're all going to be sitting there like, what the fuck, bro? We missed it again. Like, it was literally right in front of us. But nope, we got to listen to the fact that, he's old and he transferred and woota-woota. Nope. Sometimes a guy's good and he's just really good. Yeah. If in 2 years you told me that Walter Clayton was one of the 5 best players in this draft, I could totally see it.
I just love his draft comparison because it's such a bad comparison versus like what we saw him do. It was Randolph Childress.
That's very interesting. But could you see that though? Like, if he was on the Magic,
yeah.
Like, would that not be is he not like the perfect, like, talk about filling Cole Anthony's spot?
That's what I was going to say. Remember I said the one thing you need is the one thing you need to be drafting if you're Orlando is filling the Cole Anthony energy void. Not just the shooting, not the dunking, not the guy who can randomly give you 8 and 8 off the bench, but you need that energy off the bench to make other players kind of say, oh shit, I might lose my minutes because this guy is out hustling me.
Bro, they willingly passed on Jordan Hawkins twice to take Jet Howard and some other guy that Caleb Houston or whatever, the another Michigan dude.
Hey, don't. Caleb Houston won me many a game in 2K. Don't disrespect Caleb Houston.
No, he's trash. If they passed on, Jordan Hawkins, I knew he was going to be awesome, and he is a very good player. Like, he's still kind of limited, but he's good. That dude can shoot it. If Walter Clayton is at 25 and they pass on him, I will break a television.
So you're saying you would take him over Will Riley if he's available?
Yeah, because I think Will is very raw. Very raw. There's the Tankathon. I don't really mock drafts in the NBA are the biggest crapshoot that you could ever have existed because it's all.
It's always you never know. You don't know who's actually drafting best available versus
exactly. And Will Riley here is projected on Tankathon to go to the Nets, and I'd be like, okay, I could see him. That'd be a team that I would want him to be on because it's like no expectations. Go out there, find yourself in the NBA. I wouldn't want him on the Magic, who are like legit. The Magic are going to go into next season thinking, hey guys, why can't we win the West? Why can't we win the East? Why can't we be playing for the NBA championship? Like, that should be their mindset. They just made the trade for Bane. If they make 1 or 2 right moves, they don't have to be huge, but they just have to be little tinkers here in the margins in the offseason. Like, if they do that, they're going to be going into the season, regular season next year thinking, if we just stay healthy, for the love of God, why can't we play for a title? Why can't we win the title? And that's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a gap between them and some of the top teams in the West, but so I just can't see Will Riley. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see Walter Clayton. Walter Clayton could play 12 minutes to 15 minutes a game on the Magic next year in round 2 if they need him. You know what I'm saying? If they're in the conference finals next year against the Knicks, I could see Walter Clayton having to be like their 8th guy off the bench. Will Riley, I don't think he'd be ready.
He's going to have – I can already see it. In the playoffs, Magic versus Knicks, Walter Clayton's going to go crazy. And then what's his name? Why am I blanking on the coach's name?
Oh, Jock Vaughn?
No. The fucking St. John's coach. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh,
I'm that
Pitino,
tired.
Rick Pitino.
Pitino is going to be there courtside, and they're going to show Pitino every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
No, I think Clayton and Riley both are like. I mean, obviously, I think Clayton has a higher ceiling for me, but I think they both are in this category of like. There's going to be a game where, we had to sit our starters, so we're going to put Walter Clayton in. It's first career start. And then he just goes off for like 30. And then he goes back to the bench. I kind of see him as like what Bol was for like 4 years, where it was like the 5 games he would play, he was like the third best player in the NBA. And then he would miss a practice or be late to practice or something, and he wouldn't play for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm with you. I get it.
So my second player.
Oh yeah. Who's your second? Culture?
I think this is gonna be the next Taco Fall.
Oh. Okay.
Hansen Yang out of China.
Okay.
So this kid
off the top rope.
Okay, so you ready for this? Because I was watching this. So last week he was projected at 45, right?
Uh-huh.
Goes to the NBA Combine. He jumped 18 spots in the draft boards. 7'2" with a 7'4" wingspan. His comparison is Marc Gasol with Jokic's passing. So he's a skilled, pass-first, defensive-minded big whose only problem is he's slow as shit. Think about, remember everyone that didn't know basketball thought Taco Fall was like a top 5 pick. And you realize like it wasn't the fact that he's 7'2", it's that he's slow. And I would love to see him go to the Celtics, but given their fast pace, like, could you imagine you put out Porzingis and then a 7'2" defensive minded shot blocker, and you have Luke Cornett on the bench behind that?
Yeah. I mean, hey, you got to try some things.
But I think he goes to Phoenix, and Phoenix does their normal thing of like, we drafted this defensive-minded prospect who has like a big issue, and we're just gonna play him and then not play him for a week, like back and forth.
Who's your third? Do you have a third one?
I'll go with my honorable mention right now is Jace Richardson. Just because his height kind of worries me, but I think someone's going to steal him, and we're going to be talking about him as a steal. I would say my last one is going to be another international prospect, and that is Hugo Gonzalez, who I think is actually going to go to the Celtics. And damn, the more I look at these prospects, the older I feel, because this dude was born on my birthday in 2006.
Jesus.
He is a 6'8" shooting guard with a 6'11" wingspan. He's been playing in Spain for 3 years. Since he was 16, he's been on the pro roster for Real Madrid. And, I mean, we kind of all know Real Madrid players tend to be, when they get to the NBA, tend to be really good. Luka. He's a big spark plug off the bench. And, I mean, if anyone's going to need to spend a late first round pick on a potential boomer bust guy, I think it would be the Celtics. I'm looking at his stats right now. In the 2 games he played in FIBA, he only averaged 15 minutes a game, and he had 10, 4.5, and was, oh wow, he didn't even shoot a 3, but he was 6 for 12 from the field. So he's good. I think he's going to be really good. I'm trying to find his Real Madrid stats. Basketball Real GM, come help me out. Yeah, he was like the last man on the bench because they were using him as a prospect, knowing he was going to go to the draft. His per 36-minute stats, the if he starts games kind of thing, was 29, 6, and 5 a game. So I think he's raw, but he's a top 5 shooting guard in this draft. I think someone's going to take a risk, and it's going to be very Alex Abrines like. Like he's going to have good games, bad games, but I think it's worth the risk. I have a soft spot for international players though, because no one ever watches them, but me.
Hey man, that's why you should watch a lot of Illinois basketball this year, is because there's just hella international dudes.
Dude, honestly, it's so funny because I try to watch as much college basketball. Obviously, working 3 to midnight doesn't help. But it's so funny because I'll be on my day off, and these games start at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. So in Europe, so I'm at 10 a.m. I'm bored. Go to ESPN Plus, put on Real Madrid versus Barcelona basketball, and just enjoy the most chaotic scene. Because European basketball is so much better than the NBA in terms of fan experience.
Okay, I don't disagree.
Where else?
Well, I don't know. Maybe
shooting flares indoors.
That's true. They are
on an exhibition game to start the season.
That's a very fair point. I have one last guilty pleasure. I am all aboard Cedric Coward Island. I think I fully committed. I think I have bought land. We are currently building. Building property. We are laying foundation on Cedric Coward Island. He's just a bucket, bro. So,
Michael Reds' comparison.
He's tough. I love him. Washington State kid. Played 6 games last year, but he's good. Okay. What's the wildest, if you had gun to your head right now, wildest thing that happens on Wednesday?
Rasheer Fleming, top 15 pick.
Okay.
What you got?
God, I don't even know. That would be. I don't really know. I can't give a prediction for that, for something crazy to happen. If anything crazy actually does happen, it's like Philadelphia actually moving out of 3 and getting a real asset for it. I just don't think that's going to happen. What was your other?
I got another one if you'll indulge me.
Absolutely.
Kalkbrenner and Broom go undrafted, both of them.
Wow. I could see Broom, but I couldn't see Kalkbrenner. I don't know how you could just let a 7'2" guy who blocks everything go undrafted.
Like I said, my personal theory on why all these 7-footers that come from college to the NBA always seem to struggle is a lot of these college teams will try to use them in a drop-off man zone or in a zone where they just sit in the paint, because those coaches don't care about these players going to pros. They're just trying to save their jobs. And they get to the NBA where you can't really play zone and you have to guard them man-to-man, and they just get torched.
A lot of drop coverage in college basketball.
I think Caleb Love gets drafted before Kalkbrenner.
The man who played college basketball for 11 years.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, most of the teams that that would take a risk on a shot blocker like that already have a shot blocker. And I mean, I think there's enough more raw potential younger prospects that I think teams are willing to take on versus a senior.
I
think someone immediately calls him as an undrafted free agent and says, we'll give you a contract right now. Opening day roster, like a roster spot. You just got to start in the G League type thing. But a
summer league invite.
Not even a summer league invite. Hey, you're going to be on the roster. You're going to play in summer league for us, but you're not going to be we're expecting you to make the 15-man roster on opening day. I'm really interested to see where Chaz Lanier goes. Same as I'm looking through some of these names on the list. I surprised Proctor is put at 44th in the draft.
He's not an NBA player to me. But
I don't think he is, but I think I think he played well enough that they're good, that he's higher than 44.
The guy in the draft who's absolutely going to regret their decision to go pro Wednesday night or Thursday night? RJ Lewis. Unless he just did not have an NIL deal somewhere.
So I'm going to give you a name. I know you don't know, or you might know, but I'd be surprised if you know, because I know you don't really follow like G League stuff as much. Mm-hmm. Whoever gets Dink Pate is going to get a steal.
Okay.
He's a 6'8" point guard.
It's a hell of a name.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know he's going to go to some team like Memphis or something like that. No, he was one of the guys who he went to the G League instead. An on ball that can guard 1 through 4 as an 18-year-old against pro players, was guarding 1 through 4 and averaging over a steal a game.
Okay. All right, I'll be looking out for him. We'll see if he's got.
He's also
we'll see if he's legit.
Think like Gerald Green with Richard Hamilton's defense is the best way to put him.
Huh. Okay.
Like he's gonna throw down a flash dunk, but he's like a lockdown. No, he didn't wear the headband.
I was gonna say, does he wear a headband though?
No, prolific prep player too.
Any other quick thoughts before we get out of here?
The Thunder draft Walter Clayton. He hits a game winner, and then we go in back-to-back titles. Also, actually, I do have one. I have one non-jokey thought. Precious Achiuwa will not be a Knick next year, as much as I hate to say it. I beg anyone watching this to go look up James Nnaji and think about how scary the backcourt of the Knicks is going to look, because they're going to have 4 7-footers in their rotation next year.
Well, I guess Tibbs isn't there.
It's not Thibodeau. That's why I went Taylor Jenkins, because he knows how to play and develop rookies.
Yeah. Do you think 30 seconds or less, is Taylor Jenkins the Knicks head coach?
I think so.
Okay.
I want him to be. I think if it's not him and they go in-house, I want Johnny Bryant. But I know this is all leading up to Rick Brunson. Why? Because Rick and Jalen's agent is Leon Rose's company.
Do you think Rick Brunson has a chance to be the head coach?
I think Leon Rose is going to try to keep his client there.
Oh, yeah.
I think if they do that, it's going to be the downfall of the team. Because, like, eventually, maybe. I think everyone's going to be like, it's going to be like Austin Rivers playing for Doc, except for a star player.
That's where I think they can get away with it, because Brunson's one of the 12 best guys alive.
I think if they're going in-house, it's 2 names. It's Johnny Bryant or it's Mo Cheeks for 1 year.
Okay. We'll see. I think, I'm interested to see that. I'm interested for Wednesday.
What worries me is they don't have a name now. They don't have a name in rumors, and the draft is coming up. Because
that is a bit unfortunate.
That's the thing, because I think that's what they're trying to see. Like, okay, Leon Rose has put his roster together. Now, which of you coaches can deal with this roster?
All right. We did good. We actually made it to an hour. I didn't think we were going to.
I ranted.
You did. I am sorry if I was dead. You carried us. I am just very unalived right now, but that's fine. Just staring at this laundry that I have to do tonight, and I'm ready to just die, so it's okay. All right. We got a lot of cool things that we're going to be rocking out here over the next, we're going to slowly start to ease into things. Danny, tell them about the Substack. Our boy Don Corleone was out there throwing some ACC football previews out on the Substack today.
Absolutely. So make sure you guys follow us on Substack for frequency's sake. Not only can you get all of our podcast episodes from Card Subject to Change, Green, White, Checkered Podcast, our new show, College Juice, for fantasy sake, Sunday show during the NFL season, all of Joe's shows, and Educated Ignorance and Bear Down, or Burdened by the Bear. I still think Bear Down's a better name, but and of course the Golden Ticket Show. We're going to start putting more stuff for not only my page in Gotham, but the Golden Ticket Show page. If you follow us enough, you know our chaotic degenerate Don has been spending the last 3 weeks deep diving every single college football team in FBS. He's doing a breakdown and a prediction for each team with betting odds. He's done 5 teams, I believe, so far in the ACC. So make sure we're going to be posting them on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, but make sure you guys check them out. Make sure you subscribe on Substack because you get an email notification whenever we post and get everything out. Joe has joined the Gotham Gambling family starting for the football season. Will be helping us with some content there. We're going to have our futures out, our rankings for fantasy, and just general rankings for NFL. I'm sure we'll probably do a draft grade for NBA. And we're going to start posting sometime in the next week or two when I can get back on the horse of it, starting to do our best bets gambling each day are going to be on there. So make sure, like I said, make sure you guys subscribe on Twitter, Facebook. Make sure you go follow us on Substack and get everything emailed directly to you.
Yeah, it'll be really great when we can get that blue check mark back.
Yeah.
No pressure.
All right. Well, sir, you call my job and tell him to advance my check.
No, I know. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying that'll help us with the Substack. Are we posting that on there? We're rocking it out. A lot of cool things coming. I don't know when my first article will be, but, I'm sure we'll have some football stuff, ready to rock and roll here. Mini camps are going underway. OTAs have been going on. So voluntary camps and stuff during the summer is when we'll really start to get into the nitty gritty. Once we get closer to August, you'll see the quarterback pyramid, the NFL tiers back in full long form articles. So we'll be ready to rip it up once again. So other than that, we are going to bid you adieu. I'm not sure when the next time we will be back on here will be. Maybe sometime later or maybe next week. I'm not too sure. We'll just kind of have to see what life, where we dipsy doodle.
It'll
over
definitely
the next few
be
days.
July because I'm working 8 days straight.
Yeah. So we just appreciate everybody who supports and watches and everything. There's a lot of great stuff coming. There's a lot of things, Danny and I are really kind of ready to rock, and he's got some great dudes that he's met up with on the Gotham Gambling Trail. And we're ready to rip it up. So I want to thank everybody who hung out with us. Shout out to everybody. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. If you ain't got your game, you best pass the sticks. As always, presented by Brian Beal from Keller Williams Midwest Partners and our good friends at Jared's Country Financial, Ryan Allison Tattoo and Derma Modeling. Until next time, we'll see you guys.